Welcome to the Living Well podcast, sponsored by the Village in Howard. We're a nonprofit organization that assists 55 plus residents in Howard County to age in place. We're 12 years old and our 170 members live in their own homes. We help each other as neighbors helping neighbors. The topic of our podcast today is all about AARP. We are your podcast hosts,
Mark Dewey
and Joy Chong. Our guests are David Conway and George Wilson. I met George last month at a senior fair at the Columbia Mall, yes, organized by the Howard County Department of Aging and Independence. AARP is a very familiar name to all seniors in the U.S. It is the American Association of Retired Persons. There are 850,000 AARP members in Maryland. I didn't know that. George Wilson became an AARP volunteer 5 years ago, and now he's a regional volunteer coordinator in Howard County. And George has been involved in AARP programs such as fraud prevention, caregiving, and group walking.
Yes.
And David Conway is the volunteer state president of AARP since 2024. He works at the Maryland State Office in Annapolis. David had a career in surgical device sales. Since 2019, he has led projects such as Safe Streets in Howard County, voter engagement, COVID vaccines, and healthy living for seniors. So today, David and George will tell us all about AARP, its history, chapters in the U.S., membership, local programs that benefit members and non-members. So now let's welcome George and David.
Well, thank you very much, Joy. That was a wonderful introduction. We look forward to this podcast today so we can share information about AARP Maryland and AARP National with you folks.
Yes.
Yes, thanks for having us. We're glad to be here.
So start from the very beginning. When was AARP started?
AARP was founded initially as the National Retired Teachers Association in 1948. And it then became AARP, or as Joy indicated, the Association of the American Association for Retired Persons in 1957. So we have been as AARP since that time.
Even though the National Association for Retired Persons is not used now, and we stopped using that many years ago. AARP stands as its own brand and not an acronym for that anymore. But that connection was because Ethel Percy Andrus was our founder, and she was an educator, and she founded both the National Association of Retired Teachers and AARP as well.
I see. Okay. So tell us about the local chapters.
Well, it's interesting. I oftentimes, when I'm speaking with people, everyone is aware of membership with AARP because they have their membership cards that they've renewed over the years. And oftentimes when I meet them and they say, hey, I'm a member, and they show me their card, and I often respond that, well, I'm a member too, and I happen to have but the membership is generated out of the national office. Okay, and it has nothing to do with the state offices, in which there are 53. We have 50 states, but we have one in Puerto Rico and Guam and the Virgin Islands as well. And just to give you a little background, AARP state offices consist of a state director and associate state directors that are employees of AARP. They also have admin folks as well. The states are broken up into regions in which there are 6. You have Maryland, which happens to be in the South region, very unusual because even though we're below the Mason-Dixon line, we're connected with states like South Carolina, West Virginia, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and people often go, whoa, it's a lot different than what we have here. But we are broken up into regions. Along with employees, every state office has a volunteer state president and an executive council that is led by the volunteer state president. The executive councils are all consisted of volunteers, and most of them are attorneys, executives, people who had leadership roles, when they were working. Most of the executive councils are volunteers who have retired already, so that they can give their time back and use their expertise to help support. So the state director, who is an employee, and the state president are partners, and AARP believes in volunteerism. We have 60,000 volunteers throughout the country that work within the various state offices. So it's an interesting model, but it is very unique. I don't think there's any other organization that's structured in that fashion. So I like to let people know that when they talk about the things that they see on television, that the ads that they hear, or when they receive their magazines or their newspapers, all that is generated out of the national office. Okay, but we really enjoy the opportunity to be here today to talk to you guys a little bit about what we're doing at the state level, because that is what we're trying to draw more attention to. Because again, most people don't know we exist. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's one of our challenges.
I see. Well, George, you're the on-the-ground person, right?
I am on the ground here in Howard County, ma'am. I'm a volunteer coordinator, as you indicated, and part of the duties and responsibilities associated with that, I recruit volunteers. I establish a monthly meeting. We use the East Columbia 50 Plus Center as our base, for our monthly meetings. And through that mechanism, we look forward to bringing in folks who have not known anything about AARP, give a little introduction to what is AARP, and then we invite them to stay as part of our regularly scheduled registered volunteer meeting, where we talk about what are the volunteer activities that we are performing in any given month, with educational topics at these meetings, as to, what is it that AARP does, such as the driver safety program. We had someone come in and talk to the group about what is the driver safety program. And we look to see about connecting potential volunteers with volunteer opportunities so that they can expand their golden years and getting involved in the community and staying well, through that type of interaction with others in the community.
Wonderful. So that meeting is only for potential volunteers. What about anybody? Like, I'm interested in AARP. Can I come?
Absolutely. We use the Office of Aging Independence as one vehicle. The center has a newsletter, and we, via the AARP website, are always reaching out for folks to come in and, learn. And then if they want to become a potential volunteer, they do. And then, obviously, as a part of that process, we have folks who actually register, become volunteers, and get involved in the various activities that AARP performs across the state and in our community.
Great.
I mean, as we talked about a little bit before, my perception of what AARP is totally wrong. And but we run into you guys. We walk at the same time here and there. We have a lot of members that I think peel off from us on Saturdays when you guys have to walk with the doc. I think that sounds like it's a very popular program.
So we do Walk with the Doc the second Tuesday in every month, okay? And Walk with the Doc is a national organization that has various, I guess I want to call them chapters, if you will, for lack of a better word. But it was formed by cardiologists, who recognized the importance of walking. And the idea was that he would get some of his patients, and they would go out, for a walk, and he could talk about the benefits of walking and things like that. Well, what was very interesting, that's how I got involved with AARP.
Really?
I spent all those years in surgical device sales, so I'm very familiar with the body and kind of how it works. And when I retired, my interest was in health and wellness, for seniors. And because I'm a caregiver to a 101-year-old mother who is still very viable, and is just a wonderful example and role model really for all of us. One of her keys to longevity was the fact that she's always moving. She keeps moving. She exercises her mind as well as her body. And when I say both, it's that she does the crossword puzzles, and she does because she's an educator. And so because she was an educator, professional educator, she recognized the importance of staying mentally sharp. So there's that side of the equation, but the movement was something that was critical. So in 2019, AARP had offered me an opportunity to take a fellowship with an organization called America Walks. And America Walks is a national organization that partners with AARP nationally. Okay, but again, that's the national side. We were at the state level. So I was asked if I'd be interested, and I took a fellowship about learning about walking, the benefits of it, and actually, it is designed to develop advocates for complete streets policy. And when I use that term, complete streets, the way Howard County was developed in its whole development, it was designed. It had villages,
right,
and they had paths and walkways and the ability to connect people. The sidewalks, paths, bike paths, all of those things. We were well beyond, what do they say? The term is before our time. If you think about the development of this town. And now, at this time, all around the country, young people do not want to live the way their parents and grandparents lived, out on farms or out in the suburbs, with the big houses and all that. They want to be closer into the city.
They want to walk. They want to bike. They want to do active things.
That's exactly what they want to do, and they've made it very clear. And I don't care where you go in the country, it's the same thing, and that is really what's going on. So America Walks. It was focused on developing advocates for complete streets policy. So I wasn't really interested in doing advocacy, but what I was interested in doing is getting people to move. And so as part of my fellowship, I had to put together a walking action plan for Howard County. And so I worked with the senior centers and to help develop walking groups. And I'm really proud of the fact that now all 6 of the 50+ centers in Howard County all have walking groups. And it's one of the things that the Office on Aging is very, very supportive of. So those were the types of things that I was really focused on doing. And they supported, AARP really supported my interest in all of that. So I've become somewhat of the spokesman, if you will, for the walking guy. But those were the types of things, and I give my mother all the credit in the world, for kind of inspiring me around that side of the equation. So.
Yeah,
but I mean, walking is for the senior demographic. It is one thing that most seniors can do.
Yep.
When we do our walks, we try to accommodate as many activity levels as we have people that may be less mobile and might if we walk around Lake Elkhorn, some people will go the opposite direction and will catch up to us as we've gone all the way around. You don't need to be a power walker for any of these programs. I'm sure that your programs are exactly the same way, right?
Absolutely.
Every level can be accommodated. If you're a slow walker, you might be in the back, you might take the other way. Anybody can be accommodated. And we have a particular power walker that she is determined when it's the time to start, she is gone. And that's great. And there are people that are all about being power walkers. And I love that.
Believe it or not, it is the most popular exercise in the world by far. There's nothing that's close. People fail to remember that walking was an Olympic sport at one point in our history.
Absolutely.
And if you've ever seen competitive walkers. It is an amazing thing to see. And before baseball was invented, there was competitive walking, especially in
I
Europe.
had a gym teacher that made us do walking at whatever the rules are. You got to have
The
one
Olympic
foot on the
walk.
ground at all times. It looks very unusual.
Yes, it does.
But it was instructive, I have to say.
Yeah.
Because we raced. It eventually turned into a race between all of us in gym class. So that was, yes, very strange.
And if I may add, Governor Hogan, during the time that David was taking his certification process with America Walks, established October as Walktober. And as a result of the Walktober and with his activity with AARP and America Walks, he recruited folks like myself to establish local walking crews. Well, I got my neighbors. They were all gung-ho. They got shirts, that look like this that David has on.
So notice, you'll see
Right.
Walk Maryland.
Yes, wonderful.
Right. And we went out and did our walks during Walktober. Well, after 3 years of this, the neighbors finally said, well, George, why don't you call us together and, let us just walk every other week or so. Whoever can walk, walks. Whoever can't. And, but we will continue to walk. And I have had this successful walking group in my neighborhood as a result of what we're talking about here for the last 4 or 5 years. And that's how I came to AARP.
That's exactly how George got involved in the AARP. And another thing that people don't realize is that Maryland was the first state in the union to develop at the legislative level, develop an exercise, or a state exercise, which is walking, an official exercise, and it's walking. So the first Wednesday in October is Walk Maryland Day. People don't realize it, but it lined up with Walk to School Day, which went further back, and all 23, 24 counties in the state participate in this. Very few people are aware, but this is exactly what takes place. So I appreciate you bringing that up, George, because I will tell you one of the things I was really proud of is the fact that I worked closely with the Maryland Department of Transportation, who, by the way, supports the Walktober initiative. Maryland Department of Health supports Walk Maryland Day. Okay, and I worked very closely with the Maryland Department of Transportation for years, and we literally created some 44, 45 partners that were involved in this, and it was so interesting because every Thursday during the month of October, we would have webinars, which is known as walkinars, that would go for 2 hours from 10 a.m.
Did you copyright that? Because that's a good one.
You got it. I mean, it was awesome. Francine Waters, who I worked very, very closely with at Department of Transportation. She's no longer there, but we partnered for 5 years, 6 years, and Governor Hogan supported what we did. It proclaimed. Had a proclamation done for Walk Maryland Day, and then Governor Moore has done the same thing. His administration has, so it's continued on. So they recognize the value and importance of walking because it affects everything, and from a physical perspective, a mental perspective, absolutely right.
The heart,
everything. It is
the weight control.
It's the one thing seniors can do.
It is, and think about the loneliness aspect of seniors, right? I'm not sure I believe the stat, but it's, loneliness is like smoking a pack a day at a certain stage of your life. And like some of these things we're talking about really are senior health issues that we're kind of turning around and secretly making you healthier by creating community and creating activity.
Absolutely.
And
Social isolation is a killer. It absolutely is. And the AARP has studied this, has recognized this, which is exactly the reason why getting active and being involved is so important. And something as simple as just walking down the end of the street, in your neighborhood, or if you don't have sidewalks, that's one of the interesting aspects of complete streets policy, is that when we would go out and do walk audits in neighborhoods, we would see that, the developers came in here and built this, but no one held them to having to build sidewalks and cutouts, things like, cutouts on the streets to allow walkers and anything that's wheeled to go. All those are things that you draw attention to, and it was funny because here in Howard County, I was involved in the Complete Streets Coalition of Howard County quite a few years ago. And it was dominated by the bikers, because biking is they have a very strong, Bike Howard County is a powerful and very strong organization with a lot of members. And they are very, very vehemently active, if you will, about trying to get bike lanes created and all this kind of thing. And sometimes we're thrown together because, Complete Streets really involves sharing the streets with pedestrians, bikers, as well as motorists. And that's why, if you've noticed, in a lot of areas where they will reduce a 2-lane street to a 1-lane street and create space for bikes and sidewalks, so that everybody can kind of utilize that. That's exactly what it is. It was fascinating that they were able to do that, yet it's not used that much.
I never see a bike. I see people, I see walkers. I see walkers coming off of the long path and going over to Elkhorn. I definitely see walkers.
You see walkers.
Lots of
and that was one of the things that when I would attend these meetings, the bikers dominated the meetings. They were not, when I would bring up walking, anything, they had absolutely no interest whatsoever in that. And I understand they were focused on what they were focused on, but sidewalks, as well as crosswalks, as well as things associated with that pedestrian movement, was not something that they focused on. That's what I focused on. And then you look at Oakland Mills Road and you go, okay, we did all of that for the biking side of the equation, yet it very seldom gets utilized.
I mean, maybe it is, you build it and they will come. I know in downtown Baltimore, there's been a lot of accidents and fatal situations with bikers and cars, and we don't need that in Columbia.
Right.
I appreciate that I don't want the bikers on the sidewalks.
Nope.
And so giving them space on the road in a protected area seems like a really good solution. I don't know if you've all been to the Netherlands, where everybody bikes, and there's a section of the sidewalk that are for bikers. It's a different color in many parts of Amsterdam, for instance, but they don't watch out for you. You have to watch out for them. They are very aggressive.
Right.
And of course, everybody gets everywhere on bikes in all over the Netherlands. So I don't ever imagine it'll get like that in America, but we should keep the bikers off the sidewalks.
Yeah,
I
agree.
Paths are perfect. I mean,
I
paths
agree.
are fine.
Yeah, I agree. But so it's interesting, how we have a community that's sensitive to these types of issues.
That's wonderful. It's an advocate.
Which is great.
Yeah.
We look at other aspects of Howard County, though. The Route 1 corridor, for an example. My goodness, the area is growing by leaps and bounds, yet they don't have sidewalks.
Wow.
I mean,
I'm just in my mind driving down.
Just
Route 1.
picture that, and they just all these things that are coming up, but they don't have sidewalks, and it's maddening when you stop and think about that. But that's one of our challenges.
So, senior health is just one issue, and we've spent a good bit of time here on that. Like, what other types of as a novice, not understanding what AARP can do for me, let's step outside the health platform and talk about other things at AARP, other services, let's go someplace else.
I'll share with you the 3 to 4 major areas that we're focused on. And I venture to say at the top of that list, and tied for maybe number 1, would be educating and informing people on the amount of fraud and scams that are taking place at levels no one has ever seen before, levels that are beyond the ability to comprehend. We have a fraud team at the state level. We have speakers who speak not just within the state, but nationally on these issues. My brother-in-law happens to be one that, as an ex-officer, has spoken on, it's given many presentations around that. And he
we will invite him to come and
you
give
should
us
invite him. As a matter of fact,
a talk at the village center.
I'm gonna let him know that I was here today.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
Very good.
and he'll be tickled about that, because in
That's
fact this has
great.
been an area that he focused on when he was an officer, and he has continued to focus on this, afterwards. So fraud and scam would be one of the top areas.
Seniors are very vulnerable to this. I was an IT guy for all of my career, and technology seems like an insurmountable barrier to many seniors and very complicated. They didn't grow up with any of this stuff.
Right.
Even computers and phones and all this stuff, and how you trust the person that's calling you, or you trust the email because that's just how things were.
Right.
It's very intimidating. And I think, we've done a couple of sessions, but I think it's really difficult. I've been fooled by some of these things.
Sure.
Not like seriously, but I've clicked a link here and there, and boy, that looks legitimate. Oh, nope, not legitimate. And it is difficult. I mean, if it's difficult for me as a 35-year IT veteran, it's impossible without the proper training for people.
There's no question about it, and everyone has been the victim of this. All of us have. All of us have had to deal with it. And what's amazing is that there are many people who've been victims who don't want to let anyone know they've been victims, because they are embarrassed, they are ashamed, they can't believe that and there are so many types of scams. One of the ones that are to me, it's just unbelievable, are the romance scams.
Yes, I have.
Now, once you've heard, one of the things that I have the opportunity to do is hear numerous stories all the time. It gets to the point where I'm just overwhelmed by what I'm hearing, and just how diabolical people actually can be. And so many of these scams, these are not just domestic oriented scams. These scams are happening coming international from people outside the country.
Right.
Sight unseen. So there's scams. The second, scams and fraud, that's a big area for us. Caregiving. Another huge area for us. When you and I chatted a little bit about what can AARP do for me? We do have, in these difficult economic times, we do have people who have been members who may not choose to renew because money's tight. We have lost membership due to people passing, which is kind of normal. And then in some cases being hospitalized, or, going through other changes, which is, but then we've lost members because I don't think they recognize the value that we provide. And at the national level, sure, you'll get a newspaper and magazine, and you get discounts and all that kind of stuff. But we at the state level really want people to understand that we focus on advocacy and community outreach. We want to partner with organizations like the Villages, because your people are our people. The vast majority of your members probably are AARP members, and they've been for long, and maybe they use the discounts and maybe they use that. But what they don't know is what's happening at AARP at the state level, and how we are trying to reach out. And that is what our challenge is. And we now, AARP National has a new CEO, okay? Maisha Minter-Jordan is the new CEO, and comes from, she is a physician by training, a Hopkins physician. And she took the place of Joanne Jenkins, who was a homegrown or business woman, who was, not only was she COO for the company, but she became CEO. So she was kind of homegrown, and she really steered the organization financially and did a very, very good job of that. Wow. Maisha's Dr. Jordan's a completely different individual. She is much more, physicians are very community oriented. That's that's how they've been trained, that's how they've been raised. And I think she sees the importance of us getting closer to community. And the only way we can do that is not at the national level, but at the state level. And that's where things are moving.
Yeah.
So we talked about fraud and scam. We talked about caregiving,
right.
Financial resilience, Social
Yeah, that's
Security.
very important.
Very, very important. You know, there's a lot to think through after you have retired.
And it's very confusing. Like,
Yes, it is.
my grandmother was at Oakcrest up in White Marsh. She would help her friends on their Medicare enrollments because it is very complex. She was this research-focused person, and it is I've looked myself. It is very difficult to pick the right thing and know what you're doing.
Well, it's funny because when we retired, my wife and I both retired. She just retired a year ago, and I've been retired since 2017. But we literally didn't know. You know, we had been used to having all of our benefits, everything through our corporate world,
right.
and now all of a sudden we don't have any of that. And it's like, okay, well, what do we do for our dental? What do we do for our vision? What do we do for our, you know, I mean, we've got Medicare, but, you know, what do we do with the secondary stuff?
Right.
And no one knew. So my financial guy was able to say to me, let me hook you up with someone who does this kind of work. They don't charge you for it, but they will advise you. They get paid by the people who, you know, they refer. And so that was how we were able to. We literally had a meeting, sat down. He went through all the different options, all the different things for us. I would have not known anything about this had my finance guy not said to me, "Oh, this is what you want to do. Let me give you a name of somebody that you can use." But to your exact point, I mean, not everybody has that. So those are the areas, and then so financial, Social Security, all that. Then another area that's very important is brain health, right? Because we, you know, and some like brain health and caregiving kind of cross over, if you will, right? Because you know you do it, but everything associated with cognitive decline and the impact it has on families goes beyond just me looking after my 101-year-old mom. It's my kids looking at their grandma or their grandpa, for an example, and having to deal with the fact that, well, granddad is, you know, doesn't seem to you know, what's going on with him? You know, why does he act like this? Why does he talk like this? Why does he, and the parents are having to deal with this, which is difficult for them because meanwhile, they're trying to explain to their kids what's going on. And so all of this is an area that we see as important to educate and inform people. And so these are the types of teams we have at the state level. So we have a brain health team that meets, we have a caregiving team that meets, we have a fraud and scam team that meets. So for people who are interested in areas like this is where when George has his meetings.
Tell us about some local programs that you're doing. It's open to members and non-members.
Well, you know, Joy, all of the programs that AARP performs, you know, from a state level passed down to our counties, you know, are all open to members as well as non-members.
Yes.
So, you know, we talked about, you know, the partnering, you know, with national organizations such as Walk with the Doc. Here locally within Howard County, we are teamed very closely with the Office of Aging and Independence.
I see.
You know, to find solutions that support the better living, better care, you know, with seniors. You know, AARP has a national program called Livable Communities, Age-Friendly Livable Communities. And Howard County has recently passed its certification to become an age-friendly community. As a result of that, they have established, you know, a high-level series of activities that they want to be involved in. The walking is one of those, you know, better health, you know, brain health.
Yeah,
you
but
know,
at the local level, for instance, okay, I joined today. How do I find out what programs are there? Is there a newsletter? Is there a website? Just for the local, not the national.
Well, We start out on the national AARP.org website. Then you go to AARP/Maryland.
Oh, I
And
see.
once you get to AARP Maryland, you enter your zip code, and you
Oh, I
then,
see.
from that
That's
zip
wonderful.
code entry, you
Okay.
are now looking at all of the activities that are available in that zip code community. So
Yeah.
that's how, one of the ways that we share information.
And we would also recommend that because of age-friendly Howard County is
Yes.
such a it's a very big deal. So we have 8 counties and jurisdictions in the state of Maryland that are considered age-friendly. Age-friendly means the focus is on all the aspects of aging that and it's something that you can look up. It's you literally Google age-friendly Howard County and up will pop a lot of information. But our partnership with the Office on Aging here in Howard County is literally like this.
Oh, okay.
They come to our meetings every month and they present on various things. Okay. We would invite people to come to our meetings just to hear the different speakers that we have. We have somebody who comes and real estate is kind of where her focus is, yet she has started to do seminars on decluttering.
Right, that's a very important
And
topic.
I am telling you, this is a huge topic. This is a topic that affects all the kids as well. The kids are sitting there now. They've got to deal with all of this stuff that nobody wants.
We moved my parents into assisted living, and they were both still alive, so everything's fine.
Mm-hmm.
My dad has dementia, that's why they moved. But the fact that we could talk about all the things in the house with them was so essential. And I know it's a hard topic. Like, maybe we should start getting rid of some of this stuff, Mom, Dad, like, whatever. But it's good to have those conversations when you can.
Yes.
What are the important things? Well, these are pictures. These aren't pictures of anybody that isn't. But this is your great grandmother, and this is that, and here's. Well, I got a whole bunch of pictures of your kids when they were small. Like, this is the time to have those conversations.
Absolutely.
And I'm 57, so like I got to declutter too. I want to make that dump run at least once a week.
Yeah, because
that was my retirement goal, and I haven't hit it at all.
Because we always want to remind people that, listen, your kids don't want any of your stuff.
No, they don't.
Let's just be real clear about something. They just don't want your stuff. Not only that, they don't even want this big house you live in.
Right.
And the truth of the matter is, I hate to tell you this, but when you guys go on to something else, they're going to sell this thing, and they're going to be living in the city or something. You know what I mean? It's just so these types of things are really important. So I talked about like the 4 major things that we're really that our focus is on. Veterans issues. So another area for us that we have a veterans group. We have an absolute veterans group,
in our village.
and they meet, and to talk about things. We're trying to recruit other organizations. Right now, we're kind of dominated by the Maryland Military Coalition, who really spends most of the time, kind of talking about, because they are the political arm. They're very much advocates. I mean, and that's what they do. The big piece for us, and what we are very, very, very proud of, is advocacy. This is what we are known for in this state.
Yes.
We have a huge reputation in Annapolis. Our office is there. We know all of the legislators, all the senators, all the members of the House of Representatives. They know us. We have a lobby day down in Annapolis, in which we rock the red, as we like to say. We have somewhere from any number of 50, 55, 60 people show up, looking like George, women wearing every kind of red AARP outfit you can comprehend, going to each of the offices of every senator and every delegate, and leaving packets of information about the stuff that we're focused on. We're welcome everywhere we go.
Advocacy is so important. We worked the senior tax credit in Howard County recently. We were a big push behind that, and everybody that testified, except there was a federal union that testified. Everybody that testified was connected to the village, or is a friend of the village, or came because we said, hey, you're not really affiliated with us, but this tax credit is on the docket. And so, we need to advocate for senior issues because a lot of people don't think about it.
Right.
And we're better together, really, right?
Mhm.
And
Absolutely.
moving
Absolutely.
forward as a group.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and we've we had a very dynamic director of advocacy who retired last year, and we ended up picking up a new director who was, I guess, she was forced out of USAID. She was a big time executive for them, and she lives in Annapolis, and we were extremely fortunate to get her.
Yes.
I've told Hank, I can't believe that you brought somebody. And she, in her first year, has been unbelievably dynamic in her focus and bringing advocacy and outreach together in ways that we hadn't done in the past.
Correct.
In the past, advocacy was really kind of a separate entity that was focused, and then our outreach teams were over here. Now we've come together because it's very, very important that we do. You know, that's how the progression comes.
Right.
We're very, very, very fortunate in this state to have the legislators that we have. You know, and I hate to use the term, but it's you know, the red and blue thing. You know, there is some import to that, because here, you know, the issues, unfortunately, the issues AARP supports have been supported more by the Democratic Party than the Republican Party. And we are nonpartisan, and we tell people this all the time. Look, the truth of the matter is, of our 38 million members, a third of them are Republicans, a third of them are independents, and a third of them are Democrats, or maybe more than a third are independents. You know, the independents have grown. Nobody's joining the Republican or Democratic Party anymore. Most people are Democrats.
Right.
But we're utterly nonpartisan, and we could care less about your political feelings and affiliations. All we care about are seniors and what's most important for them. So that's
Blue and red seniors have the same issues.
Have the
Blue
same
and red seniors,
exact
same
issues.
Mark.
And what's
Yes.
sad is so sad is that the things that in these red states that, you know, we try to get the legislators to understand that these are your constituents. These people have voted for you. These are the things they need. To your exact point, and as a matter of fact, some of those red states, things are a whole lot worse. Because, for an example, you have some southern states that choose not to take Medicaid benefits that the government offers. Now, why would you not provide benefits to your most vulnerable citizens that the government, you know, provides? It's just, you know, but those are the kinds of things that we navigate, and it's the kind of things that, you know, we don't have to necessarily worry about here. But
I mean, but I think that financial hardship on seniors is a big issue.
Yes.
You know, lots of people are on a fixed income.
Yeah.
Things, if the gas prices go
Yes.
up like they have.
Oh.
We have several members. I've had conversations with people. My wife has had conversations with people in our group. They've had to cut back on things. Like, it's a difficult time.
it's a very difficult time. And seniors are,
And seniors and people at the low end of the wage scale are in the same sort of situation.
Yes.
Absolutely right. It's a very, very difficult and challenging time now. So, you know, part of our mandate is to try to educate people and help them navigate during these difficult times. I mean, that's really what we're all about. Educating and bringing people together to tell their story. That's some of the most powerful things that we see at our meetings are people sharing their stories as to, you know, what has transpired and, you know, what's going on. And it just makes you realize how important it is for us to continue the kind of work we're doing.
Yeah. Well, I went on your website for $20 a year membership fee. You have so many benefits, and I didn't know that you have movies for grown-ups, phone plan, games, a restaurant discount, hotel discount, gasoline discount. I mean, that pays more than your membership fee. So that's
Yes.
Yeah, it does.
amazing, really amazing.
Yeah.
And why do you lower the age group from 65 to 55, now to 50?
I got my letter nearly on my birthday.
Well, we've always been like a
Yeah.
50 plus.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
50
always
plus.
been 50 plus.
Do you have many in their 50s members?
It's hard to say. I'm sure we have some. I wouldn't know what that.
But
that
what's
breakout
the average
looks
age, would you say?
like. In the 60s.
In the
In the
60s.
60s,
The 60s.
yeah.
60s would be your average. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not just about discounts, because we've talked about a lot of things. You know, they're using community to achieve certain goals.
Right, exactly.
The advocacy is a
Right,
different form of
so
community
even if you
that's really
don't
important
use
to people.
any of them, you join just to support the
I
organization.
mean, in certain states, Kentucky's part of the South region, and so I go. The director and I go to leadership meetings every year, and then we go to the regional meetings. And so between the regional meetings and the leadership meetings, I'm exposed to the other presidents and the other directors in other states. So I get the opportunity to hear what they're doing and see what they're doing. And I'll tell you, in some of these states, AARP puts on huge um, uh, uh, yeah, events around issues like fraud and scam. You know, where they rent out a hotel ballroom, and they've got 250 people showing up. To hear speakers around all this kind of thing. And this is stuff. This is the kind of stuff that we do and we sponsor. So the value to the village members really is education, information.
Yes.
This is, I cannot stress, you will not get this level of education information anyplace else.
It's a complex, we talked about the technology. It is a complex world we live in, and it is hard as seniors to kind of retool our brains sometimes.
Yep.
And I think a smaller organization like ours has trouble getting the heft to get the kind of speakers that you guys could get. And
one of the things I'd like to think about doing, and we ought to really push this with the office, is I would love to get the tax aid people that's based out of the national office. Tax aid is funded by the AARP Foundation, which is I'd love to
You mean the
get.
tax preparation?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, you may be
actually, I
familiar
was
with
a
that.
volunteer.
You were volunteers. Oh, very
Very
good. Very, very good. But that's the kind of thing that people should be aware of. Driver safety, for an
Right.
example. We have, and it's one of the things we found out with AAPI people, is that their
When
parents.
you show us the
Yeah,
cover
and
of
this is something that we put together, the resource guide for AAIPI. It's called the Maryland AAPI Senior Resource Guide. Asian American Pacific Islander is AAPI. So we host a quarterly meeting for them at our office. Again, because we're reaching out to different groups. But I bring this up because there are parents of people who are here working that
Yes.
come over here with their families.
Yeah,
They've never driven.
right.
They're in their 50s or 60s or what have you, and so driver safety is something that is sponsored by AARP, where we teach and educate people. So these are the kinds of things that may or may not be of interest to people, but it's important that they know that we offer.
You're doing
there's way more here than I ever imagined. I honestly didn't know what we would talk about today. Because I came in with no expectations.
Right.
And
Right.
it is amazing the things that are happening here, and that a smaller organization like ours, even if we were a little bigger or a lot bigger, like this is statewide. There's hundreds and hundreds of people involved in the programs that you're creating. It's almost a no-brainer to pay to be an AARP member.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
really.
We like this guy.
Absolutely.
As Joy said, it pays for
No,
itself.
it pays. It pays for
itself.
itself. It literally pays itself. And again, information is power, and it's information's also peace of mind. At least you know you can. Okay, at least I know where I can go for something if I need something. You know what I mean? At least there are people I can talk to. There are people who are kind of in the same boat I'm in. That's to me what's most important.
Finding trusted expertise as a senior, very difficult. Who can you trust?
Right. And the thing is,
Trust
if
the AARP.
if we're asking for $20 a year,
right.
you blow that in the course of a day doing something.
10 years ago was $20. 20 years ago was $20.
No, actually, it was less than that. I think it was like
11.
12. It was.
Was it 11?
11? Yeah, at one point. I mean, they've gone up a few
11,
bucks
15,
here and
now
there.
20.
Yeah, most
but
people
it's-
don't have an understanding. Like first they get all these mail, like a join. So my husband and I, we joined. For like 5 years, we didn't do anything. We didn't know what was going on. I said, well, what's the point? So we dropped. But now today, this wonderful education
Yeah,
Okay.
session.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So we can look
Educate
forward
us.
to your return.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
and you know, we would say that
Knowing that you're doing all these important, wonderful things for
Right.
seniors, we're lucky. We're lucky to have AARP.
Yeah, and look,
You're hired.
again, we always tout the fact that you can go on the national website, you know,
Yes.
and learn a lot, you know, from what they're doing at the national office. But by all means, we want people to go to AARP Maryland,
Right. Slash
you know,
Maryland.
slash
Yes.
Maryland. We want
Local.
them just look, just do it on your phone, do it on your computer, do it on your tablet. Just go and look and see the things that are there, because you don't have to, it doesn't cost you anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean,
Right.
we're not, you know, when we ask people to come out to our monthly meetings, it doesn't cost you anything, but a little bit of time, you know, and you
Right.
may run into people and may hear something that, you know, is of importance. One of the other organizations that we just recently partnered with was Neighbor Ride.
Mm.
Yeah,
Now, Neighbor Ride is another fascinating organization
Yes.
that serves Howard County
Right.
strictly, and it's all about neighbors giving neighbors rides.
Right.
And in the process of doing that, developing relationships with people that
Mhm.
carry on, getting them out, getting them engaged and involved with other people. And they came and gave a presentation at one of our meetings just to say, hey, listen, we got a bunch of volunteers that work with us. You know, we open it up to any of your people who might be interested. And we're like, absolutely, you know, because that's what it's all about, you know, passing and
We
sharing
should do that,
information.
right?
yeah.
Introduce
That
village
would be
to
a
AARP.
wonderful thing to do, you know, just
Yeah.
to
Good
connect
segue.
with people. Good segue, for sure.
And we look forward to more programs
Absolutely.
working together with AARP.
Absolutely, we're here.
It's a win-win.
It
It's
is.
win-win.
It's a win-win.
Oh,
Very
thank you
good.
so much for
Thanks
coming.
for your time today.
Oh,
Thank
look,
you.
enjoyed it very much.
Absolutely.
Glad to be with you guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.